It's Friday. Thank God it's Friday, right? Anyway, today I wanted to talk about something that is not awesome. And I don't know if you have seen the report that Cosby got released from jail based on a technicality. Hi, Jay. Hi, Boy Swag. And I've actually met Cosby. I met him at some events in New York when he was older, thank goodness. So he wasn't able to run around and do what he was doing before. Mm. But why is this so disturbing? Okay. He was convicted. He was actually only tried for one person, right? There were dozens and dozens of women that came forward and spoke up about what he had done. But they could not file a lawsuit against him because in many cases it was past the statute of liabilities. So only one woman was able to do so. And he was convicted. And so he spent the last couple years in jail. And now the Pennsylvania Supreme Court has released him based on a technicality, right? So it's just saying there was something in the process of how he was processed that they don't agree with. So it had nothing to do with whether he was guilty or not. So he was found guilty, but they just released him based on a small technicality. And that's just crazy. Hi, Jay. Good afternoon. Good to see you. Well, it's good morning here. And why is this so disheartening, right? It's because it just shows women. And actually, even when he was convicted, he got convicted. I think they were going to give him between 2 to 10 years. Sorry, 3 to 10 years. They were going to give him 3 to 10 years when he was convicted. And so all of the women who supported this, all of the women who were violated by him, it's just like saying you don't matter. You don't matter. A person can do this and they get maybe 2 years in jail for raping. And this is for dozens of women, right? So he just got convicted for one count. But even so, drugging and raping a woman on one count, and with a pattern of this, shows just a huge amount of, this was his tactic, okay? This was his pattern. It was not just a one-time, oops, we got drunk and I was too drunk to realize that she didn't really want to do it or whatever, right? No, this guy had a pattern. He did it consistently to many, many women. And because he is rich and he can hire the best lawyers, right? He is able to get off with a slap on the wrist at one of the highest courts in the country. How do we allow this? Okay. The court system is already rigged against people. The court system in America is broken. I'm going to tell you this right now. It is broken. Federal prosecutors are able to get people convicted for all kinds of stuff without allowing in evidence that should be seen. Okay. Now, what's going on when it goes the other direction? When somebody with money and power can get off based on some little teeny technicality thing that their lawyer finds. It says, well, you didn't do this exact thing right, so now we get to throw out the whole case and you get released, right? Even though you've been convicted of the crime that you committed. It just shows how little we in this country actually think of these type of violations, right? Now, I'm not talking about, I'm sure there's lots of women in the country who feel very strongly about these violations, but a lot of the people in power and the men in power, they dismiss it as not important. These huge violations of our bodies, right? And this is this underlying core issue, okay? The underlying core issue of not really accepting the fact that women have full ownership rights in their own body, and that should never be violated. And so this is coming down to the core concepts that cause sexual harassment, that cause abuse. And what I don't get is why they would let somebody off the hook who had I mean, yeah, you can feel sorry for him. He's old and, you know, whatever. But to allow him to be released, right? And to, it's like it's exonerating it. It's like it's saying, we don't care about all of these women. We don't care if you commit these violations. If you have money and power, we just don't think that this is such a bad thing. We're going to let you off the hook, right? Versus people who do other types of things, like like Bernie Madoff or whatever, right? People who steal other people's money. If you attack the system, if you attack their system, you could rot in jail for 10 years and never have violated a single person. This is the issue. This is the issue. Anyway, I think it is a very sad day for our fight, for women's fight to have their rights recognized and to get justice in these situations. And it sends a very poor message to abusers that they can continue and have a horrific pattern of this and still barely get a slap on the wrist. It's not like this is a one-time oops, right? This is a consistent pattern over, like, I don't know, 30, 40 years, 50 years, however long he was doing this stuff. That's part of his makeup, right? No respect for women, an absolute concept that he is God and able to violate anybody he wants. He is an incredibly proud person, right? Arrogant person in that way, and very rude and demeaning to people underneath him. So it's just, yeah, I don't know. It makes me very angry, and but I think we need to talk about it. People need to know what's going on, need to know why it's a travesty of justice, and that it does make you feel helpless. It does make you feel that way as a woman, right? When you're like, people spent all this money and all these women got up and they spoke out and they, talked about some of the worst things in their life and their deep trauma. And here, you're still just going to let the guy off. Right. And I think that's really sad. It's a terrible thing. And I hope that it does not discourage women who are in this fight and fighting for justice, and that they will continue to fight harder to change these laws and to make it harder for people who abuse and violate those that are vulnerable, and that it will get us to push to actually change the laws and make these things harder. So anyway, that's what I'm going to say about that. I hope you guys have a great day. And I don't usually talk about the news, but this one pertains very strongly to what I talk about in general. So I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow.